If you have Virgo rising, this eclipse on March 14th will be happening in your 1st and 7th house and may be causing significant shifts having to do with your personal identity and your relationships. You might experience a shift in how you present yourself to the world, and you might reevaluate like your core beliefs as they pertain to how you present yourself. So what is the image that you present to others? And how is that changing? Do you like those changes? Are you on board with the changes? Do you feel like you're changing in a way that presents you to others in a way that's not true for you? And if so, what do you feel is necessary to do about that? Regarding your relationships, there's likely going to be focus in that area of your life right now. So there may be old issues that sort of resurface that need to be either readdressed or just discussed again. For example, if there was an issue that came up in your relationship, there was a plan put in place to solve whatever the issue was, and that isn't working, you might find that it comes back up to be reevaluated so that you can solve it differently, so that you can put some tweaks to whatever solution that you had before. It doesn't necessarily mean that whatever you did was wrong. It's just coming back up like, hey, add to this. So try not to be defensive if that's what happens for you. Usually the worst thing that we can do in a relationship is if something comes back up, immediately go back to like, this again, and why do I have to deal with this again? If we face it head on, it's likely to be resolved faster. We don't have to keep facing it. But that attitude of resistance immediately when any kind of issue resurfaces, that can sabotage the solution before we even get started, if that makes sense. For Virgo rising during this time, there's definitely potential for new relationships if you're not currently in a serious long-term relationship. And there's also potential for old relationships returning. That's not always a good thing, and it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's something like a relationship comes back and we need to like readdress some things in order to move on. Sometimes a relationship comes back and it reminds us, oh yeah, I know why I left that relationship and it wasn't right for me and that's why it ended. And sometimes a relationship comes back and it is the right thing. Like sometimes we'll have a relationship, but it's not a good time for that particular relationship. And it comes back later and it is a good time. And the people involved, you, for instance, might be ready for that relationship today. So what that looks like for you really depends on you, but you've likely been shown over the last few months in what ways you've grown. So you'll know based on what you have learned anyway. You'll notice, oh, if I had known this before, that relationship might have worked. I wish I had known this before. And then that relationship reappears. Or you'll walk through something and go, oh yeah, that's why that relationship was never right for me. That never would have worked. This thing that's happening in my life never would have worked if I was with this person. It doesn't mean anything bad about you or that person, just we don't fit, we don't work because of this reason. And sometimes all of this coming back is just to help us practice acceptance so that we can be at peace as we move forward. If I decided I was a bad partner because of the way a relationship ended, I might now get to see that, no, I wasn't a bad partner. It just wasn't the right relationship for me. Now I can move on without judging myself so harshly.